first contractor is through word of mouth. And that's where investor comes in, because these ladies have had a lot of experience, some not so great, with the contractors. So definitely link into the investor group in your specific geographic area for recommendations as to contractors. I would do a Google search more than social media, and I would also do a docket search. That's very important, because if you've seen that a contractor has been sued more than once, that should be a red flag. And also, once you've identified somebody, ask for references. Ask the contractor for an estimate. Review the estimate. If you have other contacts that have done previous development work, I would run it past them just to make sure that you're not being taken for the proverbial ride. And then I would definitely execute a written contract with the contractor. That's extremely important to protect yourself in the future. I would solicit multiple estimates. However, be careful of the lowballing estimates, because I'm sure it will appeal to some people, especially somebody who's a novice. But sometimes the lowball estimate, there's a reason for that. And that's because the person is not licensed or not really experienced. Also, I would definitely advise to pick a contractor who's very familiar with the Department of License and Inspections, which is the one that issues permits, does inspections of construction projects. Their procedures, they're constantly evolving, especially since the pandemic. And it's really a maze of issues that can come up. So if you're doing development work in Philadelphia, it definitely behooves you to hire somebody who's done a lot of work in Philadelphia. One of the most important things that a lot of people don't think about is insurance. You must verify that the contractor has insurance. That's also a lot of the times where the disputes happen. The contractor says that he or she has insurance, but there's no insurance. So ask for the insurance policy and ask for a certificate of insurance. And this certificate of insurance must have you endorsed as an additional insured. Because if there's a certificate of insurance, but it's just blank, that means you're not going to be an additional insured. Oftentimes, developers and property owners assume that just because the contractor has insurance, they don't need to get their own insurance. Absolutely, you need your own insurance in case there's a catastrophic accident or something else that happens. I would invest in builder's risk insurance, as well as general liability and workers' comp insurance. Also, it's extremely important to have an indemnification clause. Once again, in case something goes wrong on the project, to make sure that the contractor will indemnify you. And specific provisions that places the burden of providing safety for the workers on the contractor as opposed to you as the property owner. Unfortunately, so many times nowadays where the real estate market is extremely hot, you'll have a bad experience where you'll hire a contractor, he'll start working on your project, and then he disappears because he has other projects going, because it's a very busy time. So it's really important to put in a timetable as to when you want your project to be completed. Put a provision in the contract that requires the contractor to perform in a workmanlike manner. Specify the materials to be used so that he or she doesn't use cheaper materials, where you're paying more for X materials, but he or she is using cheaper Y materials. In my experience, I've seen many contracts, and more often than not, those contracts are incomplete, and that's usually what leads to litigation. It's really important to have an airtight, specific contract for your rights to be protected. Be careful and make sure you do your due diligence, and make sure that, if needed, you consult with a reputable attorney.